Well, we'll see if that shakes out for him. All right, Johnny Mac, let's move into the joint practice today a little bit more so. Best matchups to watch. We'll talk about some of those. John always gives you the good breakdown on what to really watch for, what matters and what doesn't. A lot of people jump to the territory of things that don't matter. John, I'll go here. Offense is something we've talked about a lot. Eagles passing offense versus New England's defense. This is the biggest one for me. I think it's probably the biggest one for everybody. Forget the individual matchups, though, for a second. I'd like to see Hurts, Mannion, and this offense against the defense that they're not practicing against every day. You're going to get different looks, different things of that nature. Sean Mannion spoke about that on Monday. What do you make of that matchup today for the Eagles joint practice versus the Patriots?
Yeah, well, good secondary. Obviously, Christian Gonzalez, if he's out there, I know he's dealing with something. I don't know what, but one of the best cornerbacks in football. So that's going to be a big test. We'll see if Devontae's out there. Obviously, you know, if Wicks is getting a lot of Christian Gonzalez, you want to see if he can separate. Um, with his strength being route running, he's not going to be able to outrun him, obviously. Um, and their other corner, Carlton Davis, is pretty good as well. So Marcus Jones, a slot guy, great returner, by the way. But so pretty good secondary. Up front, they're really good in the middle and on the interior with Milton and Christian Barmore. Their pass rushers are kind of like, Draymond Jones, Harold Landry, Gabe Jacobs, he's a rookie. So, I mean, you would think they could hold up when it comes to the edge rush. Christian Ellis, one of their linebackers, one of Howie's rare mistakes when he waived him. Robert Spillane, so not terribly athletic there. So maybe Dallas Goedert can get some things going. But overall, a very good defense. I think, again, poor schedule. I think they gave up. I think they were number 3 in points allowed. So they were really effective last year on defense. And Vrabel's just a good defensive coach. I mean, if he's your head coach, you're going to have a good defense. And that's pretty much where they are. So it's a good test for an offense that is, I don't know, how would you describe it? Average, to be kind.
Yeah.
So, if they can do well against a defense that's above average, that would be a positive and a sign of getting better. And they should have plenty of, although, none of the starters were out there in Baltimore. And they're the vast majority, they're going to get the vast majority of the reps. So I don't know if they'll have a sense of urgency, but you hope they do.
Yeah, obviously. How much can you see in a joint practice like this from the O line, John, and the D line, like that they're going up against? I mean, because normally, they don't. I mean, is it more physical than your normal team practice?
Oh,
Obviously.
yeah. You'll probably see a couple fights, I would think. At least, football fights, not like Milton and Fred, but, some pushing
No,
and
no,
shoving.
Morrow and Fred. Milton's on your mind because
Yeah,
he's
sorry,
he's
Milton's on
part
my
of the
mind.
practice
Morrow.
today.
The next Milton, Morrow. Yeah, Morrow and Fred. So yeah, you'll see somebody. I mean, they're gonna go full bore on the offense. What you can't figure out is, would Saquon have been tackled? They're not going to tackle to the ground. So would that have been a 4-yard gain or a 14-yard gain? That stuff you can't tell. Jalen Hurts extending plays, you can't tell. Would he have gotten out of this sack or not when they blow the whistle? That's the kind of stuff you can't judge at practice. But you should be, you should, they're going to go full bore, offensive line, defensive line. So everything's live except the tackling, basically, which is a big part of football. But so it's hard to call it live, but that's what they'll call it. But you'll be able to see the pass rush and whether they're getting beat, both sides, um, or vice versa. So the guys who are there should be able to garner quite a bit of information.
Should be interesting to see how the Eagles offense, holds up today versus New England. John, on the other side of the ball for the Eagles defense, I know it's, the drama focused angle, but I do think there is a real football angle to it. Quinion, Tariq Woolen, Cooper DeJean, one of them is going to be lined up versus AJ Brown, maybe all of them, depending on what rep it is and how many different reps they get. But this is kind of the sexy matchup that everyone will be talking about. But from a real football perspective, I do think it's good to see how this secondary holds up against the true, obviously, number one alpha receiver. It's going to be interesting to see how that matchup goes today at joint practices. What say you?
Yeah, well, number one, we got to see what Eagles corners are playing. I presume that Quinion and Cooper will be out there since they were back on Monday. Will they have a full load of reps? That may not be the case. So you'll have to be very cognizant of who's out there for the Eagles. Because obviously New England, more of a vertical approach, I would say, than the Eagles. So, Drake May is going to throw the football down the field to AJ and Romeo Dobbs. So, is he doing it against Quinion or is he doing it against, even we don't know if Jacorian Bennett's going to be out there. Tariq Castro Fields has been limited. Jonathan Jones is not going to practice. Mac McWilliams is not going to practice. So you're probably going to be down to the Keely Ringos, the Ambry Thomases, and the Sean Wades of the world. So my point is, if AJ does have a big day, or even Romeo Dobbs has a big day, be very cognizant of the names mentioned. If it's Ringo, if it's Thomas, if it's Wade, don't get too upset. Those guys are deep on the depth chart. They have so many injuries.
If AJ Brown beats Tariq Castro Fields, I don't think.
I don't even know if Tariq, he's limited. He was limited. He was back in a limited fashion on Monday. So I don't even know if he's going to be out. He's had a pretty good camp for a lower level corner, but I don't even know if he's going to practice. So they have a lot of injuries to the point. That's why they signed Isaiah Bolden off the streets, because they just needed corners to practice. That's how up against it they are at cornerback. So that's what we're talking about.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. I do think it's it's a good matchup for this Eagles secondary, and obviously everybody has a lot of confidence in the defense, but good tests are good tests. So we'll see what that looks like today out there. John, also on the defensive side of the ball, the pass rush. What are you looking to see from there? I think the Patriots, I don't know, how good is their O-line? I know they drafted a couple dudes. They have that Will Campbell. How good is their O-line? I'm trying to think. I think they were pretty good last year. I know Will Campbell got ragged around a little bit in the playoffs, but what do you think make of that Eagles pass rush today versus that New England O-line?
Yeah, it should be a big advantage for the Eagles. It's not a great offensive line. Barrett Tucker, as I said, is a good player, but he's always hurt. And Will Campbell, he got a lot of crap for the postseason, but he was playing hurt, and that was legitimate. People weren't making that up. He was playing through a significant injury, so he probably shouldn't have played, and he looked bad doing it. So, he'll be a focus in New England because, playing left tackle and the way he ended the year, it'll be a big focus. They lost Bradbury's not that good anyway. He's in Chicago. So Jared Wilson is their center. Then you have Mike Onwenu at right guard, and they just signed Greg Van Roten, which tells you how things are going there. And Morgan Moses, who's good but not great at right tackle. And they also drafted late in the first round Caleb Lomu. So they have some depth, at least from an upside standpoint. But I would say it's an average offensive line, and the Eagles have a very good defensive front. So you say advantage Eagles.
Agree with you on that for sure. All right, we'll see what it looks like today. Joint practice. John, we'll keep rolling here on the joint practice. I think it's going to be interesting also to see Jalen Hurts, obviously, today. We talked a lot about the offense and the passing game. QB1, though, it's different. What would constitute to you a successful practice for Jalen Hurts? I'm not focused on touchdowns, John, as you would rip me for if I was. But I do think there are some areas you could look here for Jalen Hurts. Handling the pressure and the disguise, attacking the middle of the field. Potentially, and just operating the offense. Efficiently when the first read isn't there or whatever the case may be. Now versus a new defense for Jalen Hurts. What do you think constitutes a successful practice for Jalen Hurts today?
Yeah, I'm not worried about the stats. I'm not worried about the interceptions or the touchdowns, but I'm looking. Some of the guys are down there. Our buddy Tim McManus, quite a line developing for the Eagles Patriots joint practice. So people are gathering in Foxborough. Should be pretty fun time. The Patriots have open practices, so fans can go to their practices. So I would think there'll be a decent amount of Eagles fans as well. So we'll see how that shakes out. Before I get to Jalen, did you see the video they posted, the quarterback cam video?
Oh, yeah, the QB cam, yeah.
Which is pretty cool, by the way. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Again, the reaction over this stuff, man. 11 million views now on X. I don't know what it is. So you have this. It was a great play by Jalen Hurts. This one play scouting mentality. It's like why does anybody rank, good or bad? Our buddy BLG is not here today because he's in Boston or Foxborough. Had joked, oh, the Eagles social media doesn't respect Zach Bond and the defense because they're posting that clip. Because that's what they did when they posted. All these same morons who are making a big thing got upset because they posted a Jalen Hurts interception and how that was disrespectful. They're just posting highlights. They're highlights. But that was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool look at what the quarterback sees from. They wear those GoPro cams on the helmets now. So now we talked to that about Andy Dalton. A lot of that ends up being actually Cole Payton. It might have been Cole. A lot of it ends up in the garbage because, sometimes the quarterback's looking down and all you see is on the ground.
So not easy to get those cams right. Yeah.
So you got to get but what Jalen Hurts noted is it keeps accountability in the huddle because they can hear there's an audio part to it too. And they can hear how you're calling the play and how everybody's communicating. So that part of it's really good as well. As far as it's Jalen Hurts, well, just like you look for in a NovaCare, Jefferson Health practice, again, no different. Clean operation. You don't want a lot of false starts. You don't want a lot of pre-snap stuff. You don't want a lot of hesitation. You don't want a lot of, what we've seen with Tanner McKee too often this summer, holding on to the football. You want sharp decision making, and you want some progress in the passing game, which is more difficult. Especially, we'll see. I mean, that'll be one of the biggest stories is Devontae back in team drills, because it's going to be tough to get any kind of mojo without 2 of your top 3 receivers. And that's what they've been doing every day at practice. I mean, that's tough. Devontae missed 7 practices. I think Makai's up to 8. It might be 9, 8 or 9. Forget the exact number, but that's tough. So if Dontavian Wicks is the 1 and Hollywood Brown is the 2 and Elijah Moore's the 3 and Darius Cooper mixes in from that, that's what they've been doing. I think there's a limitation there that is not necessarily Jalen Hurts' fault.
Fair enough. I would 100% agree with that. All right, John, that'll be interesting to see what that looks like for the Birds today. Jalen Hurts is always a good topic, John. You brought up that video. I think once again, that thing has like millions of freaking views. Yeah. What is it? Jalen Hurts? I mean,
well,
John,
I got Chase Daniel.
The face of the league in terms of the dude is a magnet for attention across the NFL. He's a magnet for it.
Like Chase Daniel, is a backup quarterback in this league for a long time. And here he was backup for a short time. Certainly knows more about quarterback play that I will ever know. And he's out there saying, here's what he put. The way Jalen Hurts looks off all pro linebacker Zach Bond to hit the wrap route on the back end line, all based on the pre-snap coverage, is elite. And this is a guy who's criticized him for years, basically. And he's only talking about one play. I get what he's doing. It was a tremendous play. It was an elite play. But boy, everybody takes that and it's like, well, you called him this and this and that. He's talking about one play. It's like
nobody has nuance, John, to the conversation. Everything is so hyper.
It is. Isn't it? Fucking, it drives me insane.
It's ridiculous. Like because somebody says it's a good play, he's not allowed to say it's a good play.
Yeah, exactly.
He said something else.
Exactly. He's saying it's a good play. He's not saying Jalen Hurts is elite. He's saying it's elite. It's an elite level play. Now,
an opinion is allowed to evolve based on new information.
That's true as well. That's true as well.
You say one thing and people try and stuff you into a box and you can never get out of it. No, thank you. I'm going to continue to evolve and change my opinion.
Well, everything. The more information you get, the
right.
You should change the way you think.
It seems like common sense, but maybe it's not very common.
But the whole the one play scouting, sometimes it's a screenshot scout. I love the screenshot scouters. Those guys are, they have no idea what the quarterback's progression is, and it could be on the right side of the field. One, high, low.
Yeah, that's the worst. Like they take a picture,
and they take a picture on the other side. And it's like not even like he's not an owl. He's not, he's focused on this. It just drives me crazy. But there's no beating it. But I wish people would understand. It's like, all right, he's got a lot of great plays. But to be elite, to reach that elite level, and most people have 4 guys, it might be 3 guys. To reach that level, that you do it more consistently from play to play. That's the difference. They all
make confidence Jalen Hurts can have a good year this year. I've remained pretty optimistic, but I got to be honest, John. You normally ride in the middle. You normally bring